Hello, welcome to today's show. This is Chisoma Fajardo at It Starts with a Dream. And I wanted to talk about childhood rules today and what childhood rules do you need to break? And I'm calling them childhood rules, but really it can be thoughts, ideas, mindsets, beliefs that we picked up in our childhood. So most of us as kids learn certain things from the adults around us, from the culture around us. And most of these things were said to us with very good intentions. People thought they were being helpful, they were trying to help us, they were trying to guide us, perhaps protect us from experiencing disappointment, failures, or things that could upset us. But when we look at some of these rules, ideas, mindsets, beliefs, and we're looking at them through the lens of now we're an adult, a grown adult, or a young person, even a child actually, and you're looking to create a life that is authentic to you, where you can be that fully expressed version of you, living out your purpose or calling if you believe in a calling. And when you look at those beliefs and ideas and rules that you have grown up with, they can you realize they're actually stopping you. They have been stopping you from stepping into doing something brand new, something which you feel excited about, that you feel more aligned to. And as I coach women and I speak to women in my audience, I'll hear phrases when they're, talking about something they're going through, or, oh, well, why can't you do that? Or what's been coming up for you? And they'll say a phrase. They'll say something like, oh, I was always told X, Y, Z when I was small. Oh, growing up, it was like in our home, we did X, Y, Z. In my town, in my wherever village, in my church, in my community, we never XYZ. We believed that we should XYZ. So there are these different ideas and beliefs, and I notice a lot of clients and people that I talk to have them come up, and I have them myself. So I'm not excluded from that. And when I make content, to be honest, it's almost like I'm making it for myself to give myself these reminders. And some of these different types of phrases, beliefs, rules would be things like, um, wait your turn. Good things come to those who wait, being patient. Like considering what other people think. So, always consider what other people think before you act. Be seen, not heard. That's one from, I guess, more the Victorian times, but I think there's still people who are around now who grew up where it was be seen, not heard. Except, so if you ask your parents something, or an adult, or why can't we do blah blah blah? Oh, that's just the way it is. So accept life as it is without questioning why things are and why can't they change. And then when I think we've all been there. You ask a question and then the adult says, "Because I said so." I think I've actually said this a few times, and I know it's just like not the thing to say. So thankfully, I think it was just a few times and quite a long time ago. But yeah, again, it's that thing of doing what you're told and not questioning anything, not challenging authority. That don't talk back is disrespectful, as in don't challenge authority. You should pick an academic subject to study. You can't pay the bills with art. It's irresponsible to follow your creative desires or passions, or something like, if you can't do it well, don't do it at all. The idea and the mindset or belief that it's bad to make a mistake, like that's somehow bad, you're bad because you made a mistake. So there's just a few, and there's other things like with to do with, say, money, like money doesn't grow on trees. I want, don't get. So like when you're a kid, your kid says, "Oh, I want sweets, I want a lollipop," and then it'd be like, "I want, doesn't get." So they all come from a good place, I think. When I've heard them said, when I've uttered some of these things myself, they come from a good place. But when we look at it and we're thinking about our goals, us expressing who we are on the in the inside, on the outside, some of this is actually really stopping us. It's stopping us from even stepping out of what we're doing now, because we don't realize, but those voices, those beliefs, those ideas, those rules sort of are working there in the background, and then they create a filter of what is okay and acceptable for us and what isn't. Now, I'm going to preface this as a Christian. Any rules that I'm going to break from my childhood are going to be rules that are man-made rules, not rules that are, God's rules or, God's best way for me. So just I'm just prefacing that because someone might then be like, oh, I don't know, smash up my house because that was a rule my parents had. And anyway, you know what I mean. So I'm just prefacing it like that is the lens that I'm talking about it. So breaking rules are really they were man-made rules, man-made restrictions and limitations that were they're nothing to do with who we are and us being ourselves. So have a think, like what have you wanted to do? Where have you been stopped because of a rule that you have carried through to your adulthood? Um, so one lady I was talking to, and if you're watching, then I'll finish off. But she was so funny. She was so funny. I thought she was really entertaining, and I was like, I could see you having a YouTube channel. And then she talked about someone she really admired who has a talk show, and she said to the level of experience, expertise to do it well is beyond what she could do. So she was like, if you can't do it well, don't do it at all, because that was something she grew up with. And I was like, that's interesting. And I kind of like, and if you're listening, I want to challenge you because, like I said it to you afterwards. I said maybe that's stopping you from doing something that you'd actually be really good at, really enjoying, could be part of your purpose in this next season. So that's an example. So if you are thinking about something you want to do, but then you've got this kind of like the voice of like a parent or a teacher or an adult or person in authority. It might be a person in authority, even like because you grow up and you go through like school and university and then workplace. You can also adopt these rules and beliefs even from places like that, and then you can have them in the back of your head where it's like, oh, if I try and do that, people are gonna like think that I'm being like arrogant and think I'm really, think so much of myself. So I'm not going to, I don't know, like put myself forward for this promotion when I've just been at the company only 6 months because like I need to do the time and be here like 3 years before I dare do that because Johnny in accounts, he was there for 5 years before he tried to get a promotion and I can't break how it's the status quo. So that's just an example. So I just want you to think, what roles, mindset, beliefs did you pick up in your childhood that are not serving you right now with those dreams, goals, desires, callings that you have in your heart? And even just to be a more expressed version of yourself. Like you want to make art, and then you've got your parents' voice saying art's for, children, and now you're 13, like, why are you doing something babyish, drawing and making art, painting, got your crayons out, like, oh, that's really childish, that's babyish, and now it's time for you to like focus on your studies and I don't know, tidy up the house and be, some kids have to be part of the household, like maybe their parents had a business and some kids were like working at the business after school, like in the shop or things like that. So there's a sense of, oh, that's childish. Pursuing that kind of interest or hobby is childish, and you've got that in the back of your mind, but you're not even doing it, not even to sell it or to create it for, to get shown, but just for your own enjoyment. So I just want you to think today, what are these rules that need breaking for you? Childhood rules that you need to break, child mindsets that you need to break. Because that one of I want, don't get. I remember an adult said that around my children, and this is after I've done mindset work, and I was just like, actually, so I was like, actually, I want can get because I want is just a desire. Yes, saying I want it now and being all demanding is not the way, but I want is just you to have a desire. So I say to my kids, like, yeah, you can want it. And what could you do to get it? Like, what ideas could you have? How could you come up with a way to get that thing you want? Is it like doing some extra chores and getting some money? Is it wait until a birthday and having some money and then you can buy it? And I was like, yeah, you can want whatever you want. Doesn't mean you're always going to get it. Doesn't mean you're going to get where you want it, but you can always want. So I didn't like. I realized like I think it showed me there was a big change in my mind shift in my mindset when I heard that, because before I would have agreed like, oh yeah, I want, don't get. That's being so demanding and entitled, and And I think it's the way a child can say it, or even an adult, is more that than what they're actually saying. So I try to like explain there's a difference between saying you want something and it just being like, this is a desire, this is something I'd like. And I want like in a entitled, give it to me now, rude way. So yeah, so that was one where I realized like, oh yeah, I've changed how I think about this because growing up, I would have agreed like that. Like, oh, that's rude to say you want something as a kid. And I had a family member who was a bit like that as well. And they've been going through some like changes and doing, some studying self-development. And then they also were like, maybe I had it all wrong all this time because I was like not asking for anything and I wasn't like requiring more or expecting more. And now I'm thinking like maybe I just need to be like asking for what I want, and just having that idea mindset shift is like maybe I actually need to be like, this is what I'd like, and I'm gonna ask for it or go for it or do something towards making it happen. So yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to think of any others that are quite key to maybe people pursuing their purpose and sharing a message. Um, I think there's a lot that come up around like say money and hard work and like, oh, you need to like things need to be hard, like, oh, it's going to be hard, an expectation that everything is going to be hard. And I think doing a business does take effort. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't take effort, but I think that there can be things where we just really enjoy it. It's like it takes an effort, but it's really enjoyable. Like when I'm making a sales page, I actually really love that, like designing, putting the colors, putting the images, excuse me, doing all that. I'm actually just like, oh, this is fun. This is like playing. But it's also work, but it's it feels like playing. So I think that idea of like, oh, if you want something, you have to work really, really hard. That's the only way. I think another rule is like if you want to be, well off, you need to like work hard, save save all your pennies, work really hard, get a really good job. And the reality is when I see people who have what I'm going to say financial independence and wealth where it's like they're not exchanging their time for money. Those people are not working hard in that sense. Like they're, traveling, they're making videos about topics that they love to talk about, and it's like they're having fun with it, or their money is working for them. So they're getting money through stocks, investments, property, passive income, basically. Um, and they're not working hard. And you think about some people who actually are the hardest working people, it's often physical manual jobs where people are like doing physical work and they're working long, long shifts. And they're probably getting paid the worst out of everyone. So this idea of like, oh, if you work hard, that's how you're gonna become, wealthy or financially independent and save up all your pennies. And it's like, again, it's not saving up the pennies. It's like part of it, but it's like investing it. So if you just save it up in a savings account, you're not going to become like a millionaire unless you literally just didn't spend any money and you did it from 18, then you can. I've seen those really interesting figures where I don't know how much you put in a child's account from like when they're a baby, £100 a week or month or something. And if there's 8% interest, then they become a millionaire by the time they're 40 or something. Very interesting. But yeah, just another thing where it's like hard work doesn't actually always equal success or yeah, things going well. And sometimes you can not work hard, but in the sense of like you're really enjoying yourself, you're doing work part time, you're like in your business, and that can be making a better return than someone who's working 10-hour shifts. Money doesn't grow on trees, things like that. You have those sayings like that as well, don't you? Where it's again this idea of like limitation and being very worried, being very careful, but not in a balanced way of like, what can you afford or what do you have, what can you do, but just this sort of offhand expectation that like, oh, we don't have it, we can't afford like for everything. It's like that was the default answer for some people. That's what they heard all the time. Oh, can I have it? We can't afford it. Like it was just a blanket statement. Sometimes I'll say to my kids it's that's not something we're budgeting for. So, or that's not something we planned in our budget. So rather than we can't afford it, it's like we haven't decided to prioritize that. We haven't budgeted for that. These are the things that we are valuing and budgeting for. So if that's something we value, then well, let's make a plan to include that and make some kind of plan of how we could maybe enjoy that thing or do that thing. So anyway, I think those cover some of the main ones, I think. Yeah, just these ideas of things that sound good. They sound like quite helpful and wise and good. But if you look at it, they do seem to tend to fall in this idea of lack, the idea of fear, of there being worrying about what people think, fear, making mistakes is bad, like it's not good to make mistakes, worrying what other people will think. And then also this idea of often of not questioning anything and taking any adult or person in authorities at their word, which is, as a good girl, people pleaser, which I think if you've been following me, then I feel like you might have those tendencies too. You know how it's shown up, and you know how the way it has affected you, where it's like you just normal things that someone else can just be like, oh, what, well, how come we're doing it that way? Why don't we try X, Y, and Z? You can't say it. As a people pleaser, the fear of authority type of person, that's really hard. And it's only literally like now, maybe the last couple of years, I'm coming to those places where I can like question. First of all, I couldn't even question. Now I can question and feel safe questioning, like even just for myself to question it, because I didn't even feel safe when I had a thought where it was going against someone. It was like, oh, the anxiety, stress just in my body. And now to feel like safe, like, hey, I can explore that. They said that's not something you should look at. That's not a good thing to go and, I don't know, do or think or be. I can explore that safely. That me looking at that doesn't mean I'm doing all of that. It's just like I can explore something, I can look at something, I can ask questions about how come these things are this way, how else could they be? I can ask, I can explore, and I can ask questions, and think, I think there's a better way for me, and I'm going to choose that better way. Especially around things like medical things. That again, I've had a podcast where they talk about being the good girl and having to go against authority, especially with medical things where you've made a choice that's gone against what most people are pushing you to do, and that being really hard. But get to that place where it's like, I'm not going to be living my life based on the childhood rules, mindsets, or other people's expectations and obligations that don't align with mine and what I believe God is calling me and saying to me to do. So I hope that has been helpful, got you thinking. I'm sure if you have a little think, there'll be something you'll know has stopped you from stepping out. And then I want to encourage you to go do that thing, because that's what it's about. It's not just about realizing, it's about then doing and being and expressing. So thank you for watching today's show. Let me know in the comments of how you found it, what stood out to you. If you're bold enough, if you're brave enough, then I would like to know the kind of beliefs or rules that you had growing up that you've decided to break, or you're going to be breaking.